It's your time, right? What a wonderful blessing it is that we are in the house of God, that we have the choir and musicians who are so talented. Come on. Now, sometimes you go elsewhere and you hear people, and I said, our choir could do that and more. And Brian, thank you for sharing your gift with us. A long time ago, I had a conversation with my father, who is now deceased and has been dead 26, I think close to 26 years. And he looked at me and he said, instead of acting like a child, why don't you act like a man? I did not know he was quoting the words that David said to Solomon on his deathbed. David simply looked on Solomon and said, be strong, act like a man. Now, this is not an aim to exclude the tremendous qualities and gifts and blessings that women bring to life and to every relationship and to this church. But Father's Day provides an opportunity for us to talk with men. In the earlier service, we had the acclaim of the women who were there that if you had a choice between a strong man and a weak man, what kind of a man would you prefer? You whispered it, ladies. We don't know. That was inconclusive. If you had a choice between a committed man or an uncommitted man, what would you prefer? If you had a choice between a man who shows up and does what he promised or a man who is missing in action, what would you prefer? So be strong and act like a man. I always wonder why, in a passage talking about love, Paul would include this section of verses. He had made his point, right? He talked about speaking in tongues of men and angels and the power of love and what love can do. And yet he talks about the incompleteness in life when you can't move from being childish to being adult. Most men in the room will know that a part of a man's journey involves competition. And the competition usually tries to define between men and boys. So people go to the weight room and they put weights on the machine. And a part of the definition is between men and boys. My son isn't here today, but now that he's bigger and stronger, I don't go to the gym with him anymore. Because I know where it's going. He's going to start us at a certain weight, and I'm going to look good, and then eventually we will have a man and boy moment. And I'm not ready for that. Because a part of being a man is being competitive. But I want to believe today that I'm speaking to thinkers and creators and builders and fighters. I want to believe today that I'm speaking to people who are the custodians of good things. I'm wanting to believe that today I'm speaking to men who are fathers of giants and prophets and prophetesses, who are gifts to young people of courage and young people who are geniuses. And when I believe that I'm speaking to that constituents, I realize the significance of what Paul says when he says, life isn't intended for it to be just lived in one sphere alone. Everyone is supposed to be in a process of growth that moves to adulthood. And adulthood means having a certain mindset and a certain ability to think and to engage the world differently. It means being able to analyze what's happening to you. You shouldn't be just simply a person who only sees one side of the equation, but you should be able to see all sides of the equation and somehow come up with an analysis which allows you to execute and to function in a certain way. People who are moving from childhood to adulthood understands that with adulthood comes responsibility. Anybody in the room can remember when you said goodbye to your mom and dad and you moved out of the house? Can you remember when you said, "This is my key"? Even if the room didn't have everything it should have, you were turning your own key, cooking your own food, having a sense of what life was like. And many of us, if we could go back home, would go back home. Because it's always better at home. Except you can't grow to be the man or woman God intends you to be if you are home. Jesus called people. When he called them, he wanted them to experience things that they hadn't experienced before. Jesus had an idea about teaching, which was a little different from what I'm doing today. He did not teach his disciples simply by putting them in a room and uttering words to them. Instead, he put them in real life experiences. He gave them challenges. He put them in situations where they could either sink or swim. And from those experiences were some of the greatest moments of his teaching. Can you remember Jesus and a man by the name of Peter? Peter said, like every man would when they see something spectacular, I want to be able to do that. Jesus was walking on water. Peter says, I want to do that. Jesus says, yes, you can. Come out. And Peter steps out and he starts to walk. And then he starts to sink. But in stepping out and sinking, Jesus teaches him about faith and about life and about what is possible. Remember the story of Jesus gathers the disciples together. They're outdoors and multiple hungry people are there. And when they come to Jesus and say the people are hungry, what is Jesus' response to them? You feed them. It's an adult moment. I want to see if you have journeyed with me, if you will exercise the faith. And they went and they found the boy who had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And it became this wonderful participatory moment. Jesus understands that for men to grow, they need an experience. So ladies, if you want any man around you to grow, just don't talk to them, but give them an experience. Now, here's the experience could be easy and it could be challenging, but the reality is that we do better with experiences. And for many men, the challenge with church is that we don't provide enough experiences so that they can either rise or fall, they can exercise faith, they can launch out and do things that they have not done before. Most men want an experience where they're growing, where their vision is expanding, whether they're taking a risk to do something that hasn't been done. If you have a son in your house, look on what has happened to your insurance plan because you have a son between 18 and 30. The insurance companies believe that men are risk takers. So we pay more. When a man comes into the church, please let him continue to believe that he can take risks. Jesus developed his believers by letting them know they could do things they hadn't done before. So for the men who are here on this Father's Day, can I ask you, is there one thing in your personal life that you need to grow in, that you've not done before, and one thing in your professional life, where if you took the risk, if you expanded who you are, you would be a better man or a better father or a better friend or a better husband. Men don't grow if there is no risk or challenge. 2 of the most tremendous athletes in the world today are Aaron Rodgers and Steph Curry. Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback. Curry is this lights out shooter. Yet what's known about both of them is that they're teachable. Aaron Rodgers loves to be coached. Curry is said to be one of the best people to train because he will listen to you and absorb and execute. Many people don't move from being children to adult because we are afraid to learn from others. Can I share an experience? So this week I had a birthday, and as part of the birthday, I was invited by a colleague who I told I wanted to learn how to raise big money. And he said, well, we have a meeting. Can you set up a meeting with the Presbyterian Foundation? So I set up the meeting, and he says, I will teach you how to ask for the money. so that other churches like First Church that has land that would like to develop their land would have a fund to use to begin the work. I thought initially that my birthday should be focused on me, but the appointment got set up on my birthday. And I had to decide, do you cancel because it's your birthday, or do you go to do something that would be a blessing to somebody who you don't know? So I made the initial right decision. Then the second thing, in going, somebody says if you're going, you got to look the part. Well, last Sunday I wore a suit and I got a lot of compliments on the suit. So I said to myself, if all the women think I look good, let me wear this suit. So I wore the suit. I got to LaGuardia Airport real early. I got there so early that after I checked through, the flight was at 8:10, and I was checked through by 6:50. Good to be on time, but early. So I had a chance to walk back and forth past the shoe shine guy. No, I never had a professional shoe shine in my 55 years. But I thought, well, people who are going on business to ask for $1 million shouldn't have dirty shoes. So I said, Lord, can you help me? I went on the shoe shine, and the man was playing some reggae music at 6-something in the morning. And he said to me, are you from Yard? And we're talking, only to discover that he wasn't really from Yard, but he's from Guyana Yard. But he, in the process, said to me, what do you do? I thought, well, I could give pastor, but I said I'm a God's businessman. Well, he was intrigued by that. And he said to me, you can't get the basic shoe shine. You got to get something called glass. It's the shiniest shoes I've ever had in all my life. But together, between the prayers, the suit, and the shoes, I went to St. Louis feeling confident. And there is something about when you feel confident. And the guy who I was with, who is teaching me to believe that I can ask for big money, said, this is how you do it. We went in the room, we believed, we talked like we belonged. I had my shoes twinkling, looking up on me, and before you know it, the people were engaged with us, and it was a wonderful encounter. The next day I got an email saying, the committee has approved your request and will move it forward to a final vote. I suddenly realized that sometimes you have to tell yourself, I'm not going to think like a child. I'm going to think like an adult. I'm going to think like a man. And can I say to the brothers, especially who are in this room, to think and act like a man, you have to wrestle with 4 questions. Who am I? You have to know yourself. The man who doesn't know who he is will be forever trying to find out and prove himself a man in unhealthy ways. Take some time to find out who you are. All of us are made uniquely by Almighty God. All of us are gifted by God in a particular way. All of us are destined to do certain things, and you can't take the time to know yourself. You will never be able to use your full potential to do what God has called you to do in the world, because you will always be following somebody else. Who are you this morning, this Father's Day? Your children want to know, does Daddy know who he is? The second question is not just who are you, but who do you belong to? This is the accountability question. That I belong to God and I am accountable to God, and if I live for God, God will order my steps, God will make a way, God will open doors, God will do fresh and new things if I am accountable to God. And thirdly, every man should be asking himself, what am I here for? When you ask yourself, that is about the difference-making question. That's the question about what are your standards? What do you want to achieve and experience? In 1913, Ernest Shackleton, the explorer to the Antarctic, posted an advertisement. Men wanted for a hazardous journey. It went on small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. There were 26 slots on the trip. Guess how many men applied? 5,000 men applied for 26 slots. If life is too easy, then you have taken the power out of what the journey is. And I believe that many of us would get better if we had a greater challenge. So can I ask my brothers, can I ask the boys and the young men and younger, older men who are here to challenge yourself to believe that you can make a difference in the world? The fourth question every man has to ask himself is, where am I going? Men follow other men if there is a sense that you're going somewhere. And I'm praying that as we work and collaborate and fellowship with the great woman who God has placed with us on the journey, that all of us as men will have clarity about who we are. And this Father's Day, may you as a man believe that you are a magnet for success and good fortune. May you as a man believe that God has made you so that the highest good can come from your life. May you as a man believe that you are connected to an unlimited source of abundance. May you as a man believe that God has made you with gifts and capabilities that you can do the unthinkable and the unimaginable. May you as a man believe that God is going before you to make the crooked places straight, to line up the right people, the right opportunities, the right situations, so that no person, no sickness, no disappointment, nothing in this world can stop God's will from being fulfilled in your life. May you, as a man, treasure what it means to let go of being always a child. And may you, as Paulo Freire says, have the critical consciousness, the awareness to be able to negotiate what life throws at you with excellence and skill, that the women around us will say he is no longer a child. He is a man. "15 years ago, a woman said something to me and I didn't like it. She said, "You're a 40-year-old child. You have not owned what God has given to you. You have not believed the tremendous things that Almighty God in His Word says that you are. You have not believed that you truly belong and that God wants to do great things through you." I didn't like her, but I thanked her because it got me to shift from where I was. And maybe there is somebody here, male or female, who if you made a shift, it would put you on a whole new path. Can we stand as the choir sings this song? If you're a woman, can you find a man just to put your hands on? Move from your seat and give a man a blessing. Just put your hands on the man. Touch him. We want to be touched and supported. Ladies, there are men up in front who need some support. There are men in the balcony who need support. Every man needs somebody to help them to know that when they think they can't make it, they can make it with God's strength.